The Swiss labour market is in a strong shape, actually, in very good condition. We reached now probably the seasonal low point of the unemployment rate. Usually in July, August, the unemployment rate is increasing again, so nothing unexpected at the moment.
We are entering the second half of the year. What is your full year forecast for Switzerland's labour market and the unemployment figures?
The unemployment figure for the entire year, we presume that it's going to be about 2.6%. Right now we're at 2.4%. So it's going to increase again in the second half of this year, but we are very optimistic that we will really reach this prognosis.
How do these numbers compare to the last year and 2016?
Of course, the Swiss labour market is doing better this year. Last year, we still had a very weak employment growth, and also the GDP growth was much slower than we are expecting this year. So, of course, it's gaining momentum, and we are very optimistic about the situation on the Swiss labour market.
Let's dig a little bit deeper and talk about youth unemployment as well. How do you see that trend continue?
Well, this is a very nice thing that we observe right now. When we compare to last year, we have almost 4,000 less youth or young people in the unemployment insurance.
Why is that? Why do young people find more jobs nowadays?
Usually when you have a pickup of the economic growth, the youngsters are benefiting first from this momentum, and the older, we have a big discussion in Switzerland about the 50 plus, the silver generation, and so the younger usually benefit earlier from the better situation on the labour market.
Is it still very difficult for the silver generation, the above 50-year-olds, to find jobs? What kind of help do they get?
Well, they have big help in the regional employment offices, of course. But we also, in the youngest figures we have now, we see that also the 50 plus are benefiting from the better economic growth in Switzerland.
SECO expects a robust GDP growth of 2.4% this year. How is this reflected in the job market?
Well, with a certain lag, this of course translates in the labour market. And this is the result. Now we see that this year 2.6. We initially were thinking that we are going to have 2.9%. So this is a much better situation right now. And also for next year, we believe that the unemployment figures will decrease further.
Now, interesting to note is that generally the unemployment rate is much lower in the German-speaking part of Switzerland compared to the French and Italian-speaking parts. Why is that?
Well, we attribute that to the high flexibility of the Swiss labour market. We have little regulation. We have only few impediments to hiring people. And this, of course, then improves the situation compared to many other countries in the European Union.
And how can this balance be reached, that you offer more jobs in the French and Italian-speaking parts as well, and that not all the jobs are being offered and hiring is being done here in the German-speaking parts?
Well, you allude probably to the difference in unemployment rates between the French-speaking part of Switzerland, German-speaking part of Switzerland. We believe that it has to do something with the economic structure. So we have more industry, for instance, which is more sensitive to the business cycle than in the German part. We have more such industries in the French-speaking part. Typically, Neuchâtel with the watchmaking industry, which is quite sensitive also to business cycle movements.
The Swiss unemployment rate is among the lowest in the world. If you compare it to other Eurozone countries, especially like Italy and Spain, but can this positive trend be maintained in the future?
I believe so, yes, of course. We have no big changes in the labour market. We expect no big changes. And if the business cycle is continuing, it's good growth right now. We are very optimistic that this can be sustained, even in the longer term over the next 5-6 years. However, this is something we have to work for all the time. We have to do good politics, good labor market policy, and then, of course, this is going to be sustained, yes.
Do you see any major labor market reform coming in the next couple of years?
No, we have right now introduced job announcement requirement. This is one of the deepest reforms that were introduced in the Swiss labor market, but there is nothing right now in the pipeline.
Let's talk about one of the top news stories of the last couple of days, the US-China trade war. Do you see this impacting somewhat the Swiss labor and job market?
We don't see it directly. We have to wait for a moment and watch the developments. I don't think that this is going to translate directly into the labor market. First, of course, we will see something on the GDP side.
Let's talk about the upcoming summer holidays. Happy days ahead for us, but very soon the school and university semester is going to kick off again. If you have to give some advice to the young people of this country, in which sectors should they be looking for jobs?
I wouldn't say or give advice in which sector. I think it's more like something, attitude that has to be correct. So it needs to be some Leidenschaft.
Passion.
Some passion needs to be there for what you're doing, and then I'm very confident that you will succeed.
Do you think the young people in this country are lacking some passion nowadays and maybe also the motivation to work?
No, I don't think so. The youngsters are very motivated. They have received also a lot of encouragement, and they are very fond also to follow education. I mean, we are a country where everybody almost is doing tertiary education or making an apprenticeship. And so this shows that the motivation is here.
And also this massive shift towards more entrepreneurship and startups. I mean, so many young people, especially in Zurich and Geneva, Lausanne, they're starting their own businesses. Do you think that this will drastically impact the labor market in Switzerland? Well,
it is maybe better when the youngsters are doing a good education than immediately starting a business. And that's what we observe as well. We see that businesses are created by people in the middle age, so 40 plus, and not immediately after ending school. So I prefer this situation, so people go into a situation where they are well educated and well trained.
The Swiss labor market is very much in focus when it comes to the negotiations with the European Union. Now, the ongoing pressure from the European Union to phase out the 8-day rule has been a topic as well. How will this impact the negotiations and the relationship with the European Union?
Well, at the moment, I prefer not to comment on this.
But if it happens, would it be a very bad thing, do you think, for the relationship?
No, I think what matters the most is the level of security that is provided by the regulation. And the technical details, how we arranged the rules, this is something else. So this can be discussed, I think.
The free movement of persons has been criticized by the Swiss People's Party, the SVP. Now, blocking this could hamper Switzerland's relationship with the European Union as well. What is your take on that?
It's not only blocking the relationship with the European Union. It is essential that we can recruit people from neighboring countries for the Swiss labor market and also for economic growth. And we have benefited a lot of immigration over the past 15 years. So,
overall, to wrap it up, Mr. Zürcher, what is your general outlook for the Swiss labor market, let's say, over the next 3 to 5 years?
We are very optimistic. If growth continues, if the business cycle is doing its job, we are going to have a continuous low unemployment rate, high employment rate, and we believe also that the wages are going to pick up soon.